I'm Yvonne from Growing Old Disgracefully.
I'm Marie from Midlife Dramas in Pyjamas. You can find us both on Facebook.
And now we've come together to bring you inspirational stories from midlife and beyond in our podcast,
Hear Me Roar!
Hello, Marie.
Hello, Yvonne.
Hello, boys and girls.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Oh, we've had a really good week this week, haven't we?
We have indeed.
You were busy lady.
I was busy lady. We went to York yesterday because I spent the morning being a model for White Stuff. Had a lovely time. They treated me like a queen, as they should. Yeah. So, but Yvonne, do tell everybody, well, while I was modelling, what were you doing?
I went to a bar and drank cocktails.
What can I say?
Well, I was in the handbag shop and it was full of handbags I couldn't afford. But and I just thought to myself, what am I doing? I can't afford a cocktail. So,
mind you, they were quite pricey. You probably could have bought a handbag for the same price.
Oh, I know they were, weren't they? But it was lovely. Porn star martinis.
Can't beat a porn star.
Yeah.
So as soon as I'd finished my modelling, I joined Yvonne and we went for another one.
Yeah.
Porn star martini.
I know. And we had a lovely time.
We had a lovely lunch with Prosecco.
Yes.
Needs must.
And then we poured ourselves onto the train and poured ourselves
home
out the other end. Yeah. So we have been talking to the lovely Sarah Stenton this week.
We have.
This episode is called When Life Gives You Lemons. So Sarah has had a difficult time of it. She is all about helping other people, and she helps them navigate middle age and the horrors of the menopause, as she puts it, using humour to bring them together. So her Facebook page is called Middle Age Madness. It has over 61,000 followers, which is massive.
It's huge.
And she's written 2 books, and somewhere along the way, she's morphed into a stand-up comedian. Sarah's taken her new comedy show around the UK and is loving her new career. So it's proof that you're never too old to follow a dream, as she says.
We're going to hear how, after a difficult 18 months, Sarah switched careers and made huge life changes. She's gone from selling houses to stand-up comedy. How did she manage that?
Hi, welcome Sarah Stenton from Middle Age Madness. You're a busy lady, Sarah. You've got 2 books, a growing following on Facebook and a new career in comedy. And what we want to know is, how do you pack it all in?
Well, I'm very lucky that we sold our business last year, so it's given me the time to pursue doing the comedy circuit and doing the tours around the UK that I've really enjoyed doing. I do need to give myself a kick up the backside sometimes in terms of churning out the writing, because I've got a book all but written on my laptop, but it's just finding the motivation to put it all together, which, sounds a bit pathetic, but
Not
life
really.
gets in the way, doesn't it? It's just the polishing off bits that I struggle with. But yes, I am busy, but I'm enjoying it, and I think that makes a difference. If you're loving what you're doing, it doesn't really feel like work, does it? I suppose.
No, you're absolutely right. If you get an enjoyment out of it, it's something fun rather than a chore.
So what's the book that you're writing at the moment? Is that based on your Middle Age Madness page, or is it a new?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so it's just basically the same as the other 2 books, but different diary entries, so a bit more up to date. It's also including some of the poems, because I did publish a book of my poems years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I only did a run of 600 because it's published, so it's expensive because it was colour. So I'm And I keep getting asked for that again. And there's only 3 copies left, which I'm keeping. So I'm going to sort of include those in as well.
We'll look forward to seeing that.
So sounds like an exciting year you've got ahead of you. You've had a pretty tricky 2024. Can you share with us what went on there?
Yeah, it sort of goes back a bit earlier, actually. In January 2023, my husband had a medical episode in my brand new kitchen. And he basically collapsed and had a seizure. And it turned out he'd had a blood clot in his heart. We were self-employed as estate agents, working very, very hard, as anyone who's self-employed with a small business on the high street will know. You live, eat and breathe it. You never switch off. It just, thankfully, he was okay. He was treated and he was all right. But it just made us reassess things. And we basically thought, enough. It's taking too much out of us. It's taken time away from our children when they were little, and now it's sort of eroding into our health. Plus, my Facebook page was starting to do quite well, and I was spending more time doing that because I enjoyed it. And much as I enjoyed having our own business, it was never my dream to be an estate agent doing accounts and VAT returns for the business. I didn't like it at all. So it just felt like time. So we put the business on the market. We were already having issues coming out of COVID, as many small businesses were. In order to survive during COVID, basically you took whatever the government wanted to throw at you, and the loan terms they were offering were fantastic. And of course you take it because you want your business to survive. But then of course you've got to start paying it back, whether the money's coming in or not. So we were very lucky in that once we made the decision to sell the business, we found a lovely buyer, and they agreed to keep our staff on, which was one of the conditions of sale. So, and it just took a while to go through. So that was pretty stressful. And I think once I certainly had decided to leave and to sell, my mind left.
Yeah.
It was gone. I was already moving on. So it was quite frustrating, actually, that it took so long.
Yeah.
But because of the debts we'd incurred because of COVID and having to support the business, again, anybody self-employed will know you don't pay yourself so that you can pay your staff. So, we had to live on credit cards sometimes and, took out loans. So we ended up in the rather sad position of having to sell our home, pay all the debts off, wipe the slate clean and start again. So last year in March, the business sale went through, and we were free of that burden. And then in August, our house sold and we were free of that. So yeah, as it's turned out, it's been a blessing, actually, because we've reassessed our lives. We've decided, what do we want to do? And I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me because I'm talking like I'm, some poor church mouse. But for 20 years, we've had a house in the southwest of France that we've only used occasionally. So we've decided actually that, sod it, let's go and live over there again. We did it years and years ago. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the plan. So we're actually very, very lucky to be able to do that. I think we're meant to go and live there and have a bit of wine and cheese. There wasn't a lot saying don't go.
But your daughters are grown up a bit now and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So do you feel like a bit more able to be that free now?
Sort of. We are a little bit worried about what's going to happen to them, but they are, by the time we go, they'll be 24 and 23. They've both been through uni, and you do get to a point you think, I think we've probably done everything we can as parents. And at some point you do have to say, it's over to you now. I mean, I left home at 18 and I know it's different now and I know it's much more expensive to buy a house. But I still think there is the same opportunity out there to grab life, if you want to. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think they are going to have to figure that out for themselves. That's sort of why we moved, and we've given them a year to bed in, if you like, look at careers, look at where they want to live. But they'll always have a home. It's just it'll be in France. So if they want to come, they can come.
I am curious now, actually. how is that going to fit in? I know we're going to talk about your comedy
Yeah.
shows, but how is that going to fit in? Because you're traveling a lot. Your job is now a comedian, and you're traveling to all these shows. So how are you going to marry the two?
I'm going to have to be a bit cleverer with booking them. What I'll have to do really is either we'll all come over, as in me and my husband and the dogs, and just perhaps come over in a camper van or something and drive around and do as many shows as I can. But I'm going to have to be a bit, instead of doing them here, there and everywhere sporadically, where anyone will have me, frankly. I think I'm going to have to start thinking, right, I'll do that part of Scotland and I'm going to do 4 shows in a week and,
Yeah.
come over and do that, then have a few days break. And then I'm going to do the west coast of Scotland, same sort of thing, and perhaps come over for 3 weeks at a time and then go back and have a few months at home and then do the same again. So it's just going to take a bit of planning and thought. But I think we can do it. I think it'll be good. And
Yeah, so you're going to make it more concentrated rather
yes,
than like scattergun all over the
yeah,
place. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I think doing the Fringe will help with the publicity side of things as well.
So how did you decide, or why did you decide to start this, what is now becoming a hugely successful comedy tour?
I didn't really know what else to do with it. I kept getting people kept saying, why don't you should be out, doing comedy, stand-up comedy. And I thought they'd be ridiculous. And I did one in our local pub. There was 19 people, so that's all we could fit in. And mostly it was friends and friends of friends. So it was people I knew locally. And I thought, if it's shit, pardon my French, it doesn't matter. I'll never need to do it again. But they all really started laughing and proper, enjoying it. And afterwards,
Yeah.
they all came up and said, oh my God, that was really... And I thought, I absolutely loved doing it. The first time I heard them laughing, it was like a light bulb went off. I love the laughter side of it, but I also really enjoy and feel quite moved, actually, by the ladies that come up afterwards and say, I haven't left the house in 3 years. My friend dragged me out and, this is the first time I've laughed for years. So I think that message is really important. The laughter's lovely and it's fabulous to hear, but the comments afterwards from those people that perhaps are a bit hidden away, a bit quiet, perhaps struggling really, really badly with the menopause and think they're alone and the only ones going through it. So that powers me on, if you know what I mean. That feels like that's my charger. So yeah, it's hard now not to do it. I can't imagine a world where I don't go out and do the comedy shows, even if there's only 5 people there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, every time you do one, obviously your page is flooded with comments from people who've been to see it to say how wonderful it is. I've also noticed you're very kind, which is quite a, what's the word? Brain fog. Can't think what. Anyway, quite a boring word to sum it up. But I have noticed that some ladies will say to you, I'm on my own and I don't want to come on my
Oh,
own.
yeah.
You straight away say, I will meet you on the door and you can help me hand the tickets out. And that must be so lovely for somebody who is feeling that they're on their own, A, in the menopause, B, they might not have enough friends to gather a group with them to actually come to one of your shows. And you've done that right from the get-go. Are you still going to be able to do that when the shows get bigger?
Well, I think so. I think I'm not saying I'm a nice, kind person, because I could be as horrible as the next, but that was just something that was instinctive. I didn't want anyone to feel that they couldn't come because they were on their own or whatever. And also, if I'm being completely honest, a little bit selfish, because if I've got somebody checking names in on the door, I can go to the bar and get a drink.
What's not to
So
love?
it's a win-win.
Well, we've been to see you and we really enjoyed it. We laughed.
You did laugh,
And-
yeah. And all my friends came and they
Yeah,
all
that was a good night, that one. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was a really, really lovely crowd.
It was great fun. So you've had a year where not only was your husband dangerously ill, you lost your home, your job, and you're still here, you're smiling, and you're still making other people smile as well. Where do you think that resilience comes from, Sarah?
I've got no idea. I'm from, like, on my mum's side of the family, it's good old northern stock. It's, somebody dies, just make egg sandwiches and crack on sort of thing. I think it's important to be positive as much as you can be. Last year was awful, aside from all the financial issues. We lost 4 people, 3 family members and 1 lovely, lovely friend. So it was an absolute horror show. But you somehow just pull your big girl pants up and you carry on. One of the things that I did realise, because my uncle had Alzheimer's, and I loved him very much, and I was basically his primary carer, really, was going into that world, how actually unintentionally hilarious it can be, because before they get to the end stage when it's just horrific. But it's things like we were trying to play your cards right with the oldies in the care home, and they were so funny. And he would say, "Well, I've turned over a 2, Margaret. Do you want to go higher or lower than a 2? Lower." And we're like, "Are you sure?" "Yes." And then they'd really kick off when you turned over a king or something. "This game's absolute shit." And it was just, it's comedy gold, honestly. So, yes, there were some moments of absolute horror, but there are also lovely, lovely moments. And there's always somebody worse off than you, isn't there? And I think that's the best way to look at it, really. Also, that old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, really. You just got to keep pushing on through. I think that's a very waffly answer to your question.
It's not. I think it's actually a really lovely answer, full of empathy. And that kind of empathy is what you reflect in your Facebook page when people do come and say, "Oh, thank goodness you're here. You're getting me through." You provide this community, this place, this sort of safe space for people who are struggling. And that's so important. But what I also admire is you have no compunction about dealing with anyone who comes on and is unkind. And I really admire that.
Barry from Birmingham City Council, whatever he was called.
Yeah.
And I just think it's disgusting. And if people are going to be absolutely horrible and vile, and you always get people say, "Oh, just rise above it, just ignore it." No, because if they're coming at me and attacking me personally for no reason, I never go on and attack, I never do a post specifically attacking somebody, then no, I think they should be made to be accountable for their comments. But my favourite feature of the page is the Help the Hive that we do.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to ask you about that.
But that, again, you see, that comes with its own, I don't know what the right word is for this. It can be really hard not to get emotionally involved with somebody if they send you a message and it's absolutely heartbreaking. I find it very difficult to close the page and to, and to leave it and forget about it. So it stays with me whirling at night. So that's something I'm trying very hard to not limit, but I'm trying to sort of say to them, I don't think I'm the right person to help you through this. Let's get you some links of professional people, because I do think some people do see you as a friend, as somebody they know personally, which is lovely. But sometimes that can transpose itself into thinking that you're the one that's, going to be there for them 24 hours a day, which you just can't be, so that's...
Yeah, I find the same thing sometimes. If I receive a lot of messages from someone, and I think to myself, I can't become too embroiled here, because I've got to kind of find a way to sort of step back and slightly distance myself.
We're not trained to be able to deal with it. We're not professional counsellors, and it's very hard, because of course you want to help someone who's reaching out, but it's really hard, I find, to sometimes reel it back in again and sort of say, actually, I find that quite hard to sort of step away from. So let me get you the proper help. And so that's something I struggle with. But I think it's probably a compliment to all of us that people see us as friends and as somebody that they can reach out to in their time of need. And I wouldn't ever want to take that away from them.
You also have to be careful, because quite often they assume you have a medical knowledge about
Yeah.
the menopause and about issues, which we do not.
No,
None of us do.
no. I mean, you sort of learn as you go, don't you? And, you know, if someone says, oh, I feel this, this and this, you probably know enough to say you definitely need to go and see your doctor and go and get checked out. So the Help the Hive is such a nice feature because I do feel a bit like I can pass it over to everyone else on the page and take a bit of a step back. So
And that kind of brings me back to that resilience, because how do you deal with people bringing you their problems when you're maybe having the worst time yourself?
I had that very recently, actually. I had an incident in the changing rooms at our local leisure centre, which was enormously triggering for me because of something that happened in my childhood in a changing room when I was a young girl. And I put the post on Facebook about it, and I got hundreds of messages from ladies that had been abused similarly when they were children. Now, I'm already having my really shitty day having to deal with what I've just dealt with. And I actually had to sort of shut the comments off on that, to put my phone away and leave it for a couple of days. And then when I felt stronger, I went back to it. And I did say to all of them, I'm really sorry, but I can't deal with your issue because it's too hard on me. And, you know, I think that sometimes is the hardest thing to say, because your instinct is always, I want to help you, but, you know, you can't pour from an empty can, or whatever the saying is, can you? You know, if you're feeling absolutely drained and you've got nothing left, you can't help anybody. So, and I think people appreciate that. And of course, what they don't realise is it's not just them sending a message in, it's dozens and dozens of others, you know, all with similarly heartbreaking stories. So I do always send them a link, just saying, you know, go check out this organisation, la, la, la. This is really helpful.
And Yvonne, as you just asked about resilience, I think sometimes saying no does show strength and resilience, because sometimes you have to take a step back and draw the line and put yourself first. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely. Like I say, you can't pour water from an empty can, or whatever the saying is. You have to look after yourself. So, you know, it's better to help as many as you can, I think. And like you say, keep some back for yourself.
So, Edinburgh Fringe, tell us about that. How's that come about? What made you wake up one day and go, all right, that's it, I'm going to Edinburgh Fringe?
Well, I'm very lucky that my family, my parents and my sister live in Edinburgh. So that's a big bonus. They've got accommodation sorted, I know. And I just thought, why not? We went to see a few shows last year. There were some that were brilliant and there were some that were crap, actually. And I just thought I could do better than that. You know, and I know that sounds a bit horrible, but there were some there that the audience was sitting there literally cringing for them, you know, and I just thought I can do better than that. So I thought, well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So yeah, I've just registered, doing 3 dates, and then we're off to France. So if it all goes horrible and I'm dreadful, I'll be out of the country anyway. So nobody cares.
Tell us the 3 dates.
31st of July, so it's the Thursday, Friday the 1st of August and Saturday the 2nd of August.
Can I, just quick question, did you tell your family that we're coming to stay as well?
Then, if you could do, I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like a lovely venue. It seats about 60, I think, which is a nice number.
Perfect number, yeah.
And there's a bar. So, but the funniest thing is it's a former chapel, so I get to speak at a lectern, is it? You know, like a priest. My show's the most ungodly thing I think they're going to have ever seen in that venue. There we go.
I was just thinking, watch out for the lightning strike coming down.
Yeah, I know. I'll be ready for it. I'll have my tinfoil hat on. I'll be ready.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah. So we were also wondering, with all this comedy touring around and all the rest of it, what sort of impact does that have on your life?
Well, it's okay, actually. The most recent ones I've done, David, my husband, has come with me. And at first he was just cringing because quite a lot of the content obviously is about marriage and how that gets affected by the menopause, sex life and all the rest of it. But he sits there laughing now. I think he quite likes it. And he's got a little fan club. So that's quite funny. And I think because this is my job now, in essence, and David's retired, it doesn't really get in the way of anything anymore.
No.
Oh, that's
Which is nice.
fantastic. What's coming up next then?
Well, I'm in Cardiff on the 8th of March, York on the 14th, and Cottingham, which is near Hull, on the 22nd. So yeah, they're the next three. I haven't booked any. Oh, and Belfast on the 13th of April. That one's sold out. I'd love to get round to Dublin, but it's so hard trying to find a venue that's, not really, really overpriced. Yeah, and just more of the same, really. Then the Fringe, then obviously moving to France, and then hopefully do some more in the autumn to try and get booked in and get sorted out for that.
Yeah, your new book.
Yes.
When's that going to be coming out?
I don't know. When I can get my backside in gear and get it finished. I don't know. I'm hoping, I would love to have it done. Where are we now? I mean, I was thinking Mother's Day, but I mean, that feels like it's going to be a bit of a... That's coming around a bit quick.
It's a challenge.
I mean, it's all done. I just need to sort the publishing side out. I don't know. Let's say it will be out before Christmas. Let's just leave it like that, shall we?
Probably a safe time frame, that, before Christmas.
But should be able to manage that one.
If you could say one thing to Sarah 10 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you say?
It won't last forever, I think. Because I would say 10 years ago, what was I, 43, working really long hours, keeping the business going, would have had 2 teenage daughters, obviously full of hormones, the same as I was, and quite a stressed husband. I think you do feel like it's going to last forever and you're never going to get a minute to be you again.
Yeah.
So I would say that to her, it won't last forever. It will get better. And, in 10 years' time, you'll be living a dream you didn't even know you had.
So will you be thinking of becoming fluent in French so you can say your go around France?
Will you be writing any French letters?
I don't think so. I can speak a little bit of French, but funnily enough, the more we have to drink, the more fluent we get. And the arm gestures come
Fluent
out.
or fluid?
Yeah, fluid. We can always make ourselves understood after a couple of drinks.
We're on to our last question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Sarah, if you were a cocktail, what would you be called and what would be your 3 main ingredients and why?
Well, actually, I did do a cocktail masterclass yesterday with my youngest and she came up with the name Menno Pour Me Another One for the cocktail. And I'm afraid there's just a few more than 3. So obviously ice for our hot flushes, vodka, because we used to be clear-headed, sharp and easily mixed with anything, didn't we? Passion fruit to make up for the lack of passion in the bedroom, ginger ale, fiery and angry, and then finally cloudy apple juice to represent brain fog. And then we made it last night and it was actually really, really nice. There you go. Menno Pour Me Another One. So yeah, highly recommended.
Might have to repeat those ingredients for our listeners if they want to have a go at mixing it.
No, it's just ice, vodka, bit of passion fruit, ginger ale, and a cloudy apple juice to dilute as needed. But no, it was really very nice. It was lovely.
Sounds nice and fruity.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sarah.
My pleasure.
We wish you the absolute best with the move to France, with the shows, with the Edinburgh Fringe, and with a book.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah.
And,
sounds to us like you have a very bright future ahead of you.
Thank you. And good luck to you too with your podcast. I hope it goes well and you get some really, really lovely guests on there. So good luck.
Thank you to our guest this week, and thanks for listening.
and we look forward to roaring with you again.